The Bold and the Beautiful Monday, May 12th episode recap. Tension, secrets, and emotional reckonings. Monday's episode of The Bold and the Beautiful packed a full punch of drama, secrets, confrontations, and emotional vulnerability, with every major character teetering on the edge of major revelations. From heartfelt reconciliations to explosive accusations, the storylines continued to spiral, weaving tangled relationships and high-stakes secrets. At Il Giardino, a place so often reserved for passive-aggressive brunches and accidental run-ins, something rare and human unfolded between Bill and Liam. Sitting at a small table away from the usual clamor, father and son found themselves in unfamiliar territory honesty. The tension from their recent argument still lingered in the air, but Liam, clearly carrying the weight of something far deeper than a disagreement, chose this moment to make peace. He apologized with a quiet urgency, insisting that life was too short to let pride or ego fracture the one relationship that had always been a cornerstone of his existence. He thanked Bill not just for being his father, but for shaping the man he had become. Bill, usually so armored and bravado, softened visibly. Liam's words pierced through the facade. For the first time in a long time, Bill let his guard down, confessing that Liam's sentiment might be the most meaningful thing anyone had ever said to him. He told Liam that hearing those words made him want to be a better man. The moment hung heavy in the air, a rare blend of admiration and sorrow. But as touching as the moment was, the unspoken truth between them screamed louder. Bill had no idea that Liam was dying. That the time he thought they had ahead was vanishing faster than anyone could anticipate. Liam smiled faintly when Bill spoke of Spencer Publications' future, predicting that Liam would one day lead the company. But behind that smile was despair. Liam couldn't see himself living long enough to sit behind that desk, let alone guide an empire. Still, he said nothing. The secret of the inoperable brain tumor weighed down every sentence he spoke, but he kept it buried for now. Interrupting this fragile calm came none other than Sheila Sharp, whose sudden appearance shifted the mood instantly. Sheila, emboldened by recent events, approached Bill and Liam with an expression equal parts gratitude and calculation. She thanked Bill for his role in securing Luna's pardon, praising him as though he were some white knight in a dark tale. Bill dismissed her graciously but coldly, making it clear that whatever happened between Luna and Finn was a closed chapter as far as he was concerned. Sheila, however, wasn't convinced. Her eyes flickered with doubt. She knew this story wasn't over. Meanwhile, far from the civilized awkwardness of Il Giardino, chaos brewed at the Cliff House. Luna stood face to face with Finn, desperation etched across her face. She needed answers. She needed to know if the man standing in front of her was her biological father. But more than that, she needed connection. She pleaded with Finn, convinced that he wanted the same thing deep down. She believed that Steffy's control over him was the barrier keeping them apart. But Finn stood firm. There was no going back, he told her. What's done is done. He reminded Luna that she was a grown woman, capable of choices, and had made some terrible ones. His voice was calm, but final. He was shutting the door on something Luna still hoped could be opened. But Luna wasn't done. Her voice cracked as she begged for just one chance for something real. She knew she could never erase the damage, but she believed they could still build something, even if it was just honesty. Still, Finn refused. He told her she couldn't come to that house anymore. Not now. Not ever. And then the door opened. Steffy entered, her eyes instantly locking on Luna and Finn. Her voice, sharp as shattered glass, demanded answers. What was Luna doing in her home, alone with her husband? The fury in Steffy's voice wasn't performative, it was primal. Her territory had been breached, her trust shaken. Luna and Finn had no choice but to explain. The tension turned electric as Steffy prepared for a confrontation she wasn't ready to lose. Back at Brooke's house, another emotional scene unfolded. Hope had asked Liam to come over, and as always, he did. Their connection had been tested so many times, bruised by affairs, secrets, and betrayals. But there was something undeniable between them, something they could never quite let go of. Hope opened up about her regrets, about how she'd taken their love for granted, assuming it would always be there. She wondered aloud if she'd ever really shown Liam how deeply she cared. Liam reassured her. Gently, honestly. He told her that they both made mistakes, that guilt wasn't a one-way street. He reminded her of Beth, their daughter, their miracle, their bond. That kind of love doesn't vanish just because life grows complicated. Then came the hug. Long, loaded, almost too tender to be friendly, but not quite romantic either. It was the kind of hug that said everything their words couldn't. Hope fought to hide what she knew, that Liam was dying, that this moment might be one of the last they shared. Her heart broke, but her face stayed composed. She wouldn't tell him. Not yet. Not like this. Liam, oblivious to her knowledge, simply held her. And the silence between them said more than any dialogue ever could. Elsewhere, the ripple effects of Luna's presence at the Cliff House were just beginning. Steffy demanded an explanation from both Finn and Luna, and neither could give one that would satisfy her. Finn insisted there was nothing romantic happening, but the damage was already done. Luna's presence in that house, especially after everything, was a betrayal Steffy couldn't ignore. She questioned Finn's judgment, wondering aloud if his emotions for Luna ran deeper than he admitted. Finn, already overwhelmed by the situation, stood torn between defending himself and explaining something even he didn't fully understand. Luna, meanwhile, refused to cower. She stood her ground, pleading her case directly to Steffy. She wasn't trying to undermine their marriage, she insisted. She just wanted the truth. About her father. About her past. She deserved that much. But Steffy, protective and unforgiving, wasn't in a charitable mood. She saw Luna as a threat, plain and simple. As the episode neared its end, the emotional stakes were higher than ever. Sheila remained convinced that the Luna-Finn story was far from over. Bill remained in the dark about Liam's health, blind to the ticking clock on his son's life. And Liam, moving from one deeply emotional encounter to another, held onto his secret with a quiet grace that made every word he spoke hit harder. In the coming days, revelations will explode. Alliances will shift. Hearts will break. But for now, everyone remains suspended in that delicate balance between truth and silence, love and loss, past and future. And in true bold and the beautiful fashion, the calm won't last long. Steffy's demand for answers didn't echo in silence. It thundered across the room. Luna, still shaken by Finn's cold rejection, now had to brace for Steffy's full wrath. And Steffy, already feeling betrayed by Luna's presence in her home, zeroed in on both of them. Her voice cracked like a whip. Why is she here? In my house. Her tone wasn't looking for an explanation, it was a warning. Finn stepped forward, trying to shield Luna from Steffy's line of fire. But the damage was already done. Luna being in that space, alone with Finn, meant one thing in Steffy's mind. A line had been crossed. Finn tried to remain calm, reiterating that Luna had come to ask questions about her paternity. That's it. No scheming, no secrets, just answers. But Steffy wasn't buying it. There are places to have those conversations, she snapped. And our living room isn't one of them. Luna, to her credit, didn't flinch. She stood her ground. I just wanted the truth, she said quietly. And Finn deserves it, too. Her voice cracked under the weight of the moment. She wasn't trying to destroy anything. But Steffy wasn't interested in intentions, only consequences. Tension mounted. Steffy's jealousy was bleeding into fury. You had no right to come here, she told Luna. This is my family. And you don't get to walk in and blow it up because you have questions. Finn's voice cut in firm, but not aggressive. No one's trying to blow anything up. But the more he spoke, the more it was clear. He was no longer just defending Luna's presence, he was defending Luna. And that subtle shift did not go unnoticed. Steffy stared at her husband, realizing for the first time that his connection to Luna might run deeper than he even understood. It wasn't romantic. Not yet. But it was intimate in a way that felt just as dangerous. A bond forming in the shadows, outside of their marriage. Eventually, Luna left not because she was ashamed, but because she knew nothing she said would change how Steffy saw her. And once the door closed behind her, the real argument began. You let her in, Steffy accused, her voice shaking. You told her she couldn't come here, and then you let her in anyway. Finn was exhausted, mentally and emotionally. I didn't let her in to hurt you. I let her in because she deserves to know who she is. I would want that, too. But at what cost? Steffy shot back. What if it's true, Finn? What if you're her father? Then what? Finn couldn't answer. Because if that was true, if Luna really was his daughter, then nothing would ever be the same. Across town at Brooke's house, the hug between Liam and Hope lingered. Longer than it should have. Hope could barely hold herself together. She wanted to scream, to cry, to tell Liam that she knew about the tumor. That she knew every moment with him might be their last. But she couldn't. She promised herself she wouldn't rob him of whatever peace he had left. So instead, she clung to him. And Liam, feeling the depth of that hug, felt something break open inside him. It wasn't just comfort, it was longing. Maybe even regret. He pulled back and looked at her. Really looked. We've been through hell, he said. But somehow, you always feel like home. Hope's eyes glistened. She wanted to believe they still had time to find their way back to each other. But time wasn't on their side. Not this time. I'm not going anywhere, Liam said. Even if we're not together, I'm here. Always. Hope nodded, unable to speak. If she tried, the truth would come pouring out. They sat in silence, side by side, neither wanting to break the moment. But everything between them had changed, and neither one could admit it. Back at Il Giardino, Bill was left unsettled by his interaction with Sheila. Something about the way she talked, the way she smiled, put him on edge. He didn't trust her. He never had. And yet, he had to admit that her instincts were rarely wrong. She's still hoping, Bill muttered to himself, thinking about Luna and Finn. Even after everything, she thinks there's more to the story. And maybe there was. Bill turned his attention back to Liam, who had excused himself to take a call outside. Watching his son walk away, Bill felt a rare pang of something close to fear. There was a heaviness in Liam he couldn't explain, a sadness that went beyond their recent fight. Something was wrong, and Bill could feel it in his gut. Meanwhile, Luna was driving, tears blurring her vision, replaying everything Finn and Steffy had said. Her heart was in pieces. She hadn't gone to that house to cause a scene. She just wanted to know the truth. But all she got was rejection and a front-row seat to a marriage that clearly saw her as a threat. She didn't know where she was headed. She just knew she couldn't go back to Sheila. Not now. Not with this storm building. And worst of all, she still didn't have her answer. Was Finn her father? And if he was, why did he act like it didn't matter? Back at the Cliff House, Steffy stood staring at the front door, arms crossed, eyes distant. Finn came up behind her. "You know I love you," he said softly. "That hasn't changed." But Steffi didn't turn around. "Then tell me something," she said, her voice cold. "If she's your daughter, can you really walk away from her?" That question hung between them like a loaded gun. Finn didn't answer. Because he couldn't. Elsewhere, Hope stood alone on the balcony of Brooke's house, watching the sunset. Her phone buzzed. It was a text from Liam. "Thank you for everything today. It meant more than I can say." Hope stared at the screen. She started to type a reply, then stopped. What could she possibly say? That she loved him? That she never stopped? That she didn't know how to live in a world without him? Instead, she deleted the draft and locked her phone. The camera lingered on her face, raw, uncertain, and silently breaking apart.